We live. Welcome back, all you beautiful people, to that We Got Action podcast. We got episode 31 coming at y'all. National Basketball Association, NBA talk today. And we're going to start off something hitting a little. Well, got it there.
2K
ball. Man, that's like Mike. What was the movie? Is that what it was called, right?
Yeah, like Mike with Lil Bow Wow.
Yeah,
Lil
Yeah, it
Bow
was like
Wow.
Mike. Yeah, it was like Mike.
God, that's such a fucking good
Curtis
movie.
Blow.
All right, so we're gonna start off with something a little too close to home. All right. The Chicago Bulls played the Cleveland Cavaliers last night, and Donovan Mitchell scored almost exactly half of their points. He put up a 71 piece on us.
Yep.
I'd like to add that.
Hold on, let's take a moment of silence.
Before I rant, I would like to add that it's not only was it 71 points, but he had I think 10 or 11 assists. He accounted for 99.
He had 11 assists, 8 rebounds.
99 of the Cavs points. I forgot how much it was, like 140 something, 150.
It was 146.
Something like that. Yeah, he scored 99 of their points. It's the second most points accounted for in a game ever.
And he only missed 11 shots. He didn't take 30 shots. He only took 28 or 29.
Because,
he had 20 free throw scores. 25 attempted, 20 made.
20 made.
25,
yeah.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So
the main question we all got though.
Go ahead.
What was the better performance? Luka's 60, 20, and 10 game, essentially, or D. Donovan Mitchell, 70 points and 11 assists night against our very own Chicago
71.
Bulls.
That's the most points scored since Kobe.
it ties Booker.
Yeah.
Booker scored 70.
Was it 70?
Yeah,
Booker scored
70.
70 flat.
And to be fair, he was chucking in a game where they were down like 30.
He scored 70 on the nose
Okay,
and
chill
took
out.
like 40.
Chill out. We didn't ask for clarities. We didn't ask for that.
It's the most points scored since Kobe's 82.
Yes.
Yes.
I still want to stick with Luka, but damn, it's hard. I haven't watched the entire second half of that game too. It's like it hurt because them zebras, like Vitor hinted at, them zebras were working real hard.
They got a bag last night.
Well, the thing was they were working hard, but yet D. Mitch was also making it.
He was
so
making
easy for them to just blow the whistle.
Yeah,
because he was hitting everything. He was on it. He was on it.
He did. Yeah. And that's the most frustrating part is that he didn't need all that help to put up a good game. He would have
probably still put up.
He probably was putting up
60.
55 to. Well, he put up 56 without.
Take away 5 whistles.
Yeah.
And 10 free throw attempts. He still puts up 60.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
We just win by 10.
Yeah.
In regulation rather than
we
going to OT.
According to the L2M report, 4 of their points that they scored came on violations in the last 2 possessions of the game.
Mm-hmm.
So we wouldn't even have gotten to OT.
I just said.
No, not even the lane violation. There's before that Jared Allen dunk. They ain't touching because he traveled.
It's a lot that they are going to miss.
Okay. It's really Luka. Okay. It has nothing to do with last night. I mean, Donovan Mitchell, it was cute. I mean, 71 points was cute.
It was cute.
It was cute. It wasn't no triple double though. You feel me? Let
alone
alone it wasn't. Nah, it was all right, but the Knicks better than me in that sense in this scenario right now.
Yeah,
and let alone, and it was a more of a comeback with Luka, like lead them back.
It was actually a similar thing.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Both of them were coming.
Yeah.
They had
Luka made his tip in without a lane violation, so.
Yeah. But at this point, we're really just nitpicking because we are Bulls fans, and of course, somebody would score 71 on our team.
Well, it's
but,
not. If you watch that game,
we watched Clay drop 60. So Clay did that.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
It's one of the things.
Didn't Clay break the 3-point records in the game with us?
Stop.
Yep.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So it happens.
Doesn't Joel average like 45 against us?
He actually, the last time he beat us, he posted an Instagram thing with just saying Aaron Rodgers because he owns us.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, that game last night, bro,
probably
I have never I'm somebody I get frustrated with officiating fairly easily. Yesterday was on another level. Like I have not That to me was the most outrageous display of refereeing I've ever seen.
Mhm.
All right, we got it.
I
What
just
was more impressive?
Luka.
Dang,
Luka did it
that was
on
quick, that was
Luka
quick.
took less shots and only made one less. So he made one less and took 3 less. He wasn't Mitchell made more threes than Luka attempted. So Luka was really doing it
Mastered the
on
mid
threes,
range.
Yeah.
which is impressive.
A lot
20
harder.
20 rebounds, crazy,
Yeah.
right? Like, and he had the double or the triple double anyway with 10 assists. Like, it's the fact of, if you look at who the Cavs had on the floor yesterday, even with Garland and Mobley out,
It
I
was
still
still a
think
good squad.
they're a better squad than what the Mavs got away aside from Luka.
Yeah. I mean, I'm totally there too. I'm just gonna I'm going with Luca too. He literally, if you look at the roles that they are playing, Mitchell isn't playing any type of role like Luca is. Granted, again, like V said, two of the main players were out, especially from the rotation on the Cavs. But just the way that
Well,
Luca did it and how he did it against the Knicks, I agree with
Knicks,
that as
who have been
well.
a
Luca,
top what, like 5 defense over the last month or so.
yeah,
hey,
yeah,
that's more impressive. Like Mitchell's job is to score. Okay, been his job to score.
yeah.
So all he did was his job with a little bit of extra incentives of 11 assists and rebounds. But Luka got a triple double.
Yeah, triple double
I like
trumps
that
the
more.
double double. That's all I got to say. So I think we're
And he
all.
got 20 rebounds.
Yeah, I think it's all pretty much a landslide, at least for Luca, in that regard. But
I still think
again,
it's close.
yeah, I think
It was
it definitely
close.
was close.
I mean,
But
maybe if Mitchell puts that game up against the Celtics instead of us, maybe we're sitting here saying Donovan Mitchell.
yeah,
Nope.
But
If he got 2 rebounds for me, I would have gave it to him.
a triple double.
hey,
I needed a 70-point triple double. I would have been okay.
now that would have been crazy though. But again, both of them were really good performances. Again, we gave our takes on it there, but we're all gonna go with Luca in
Shout
that
out Tony
sense of the
Brothers.
triple double. Yeah.
Shout out
So the
Tony
next thing,
Brothers.
next thing we kind of wanted to get into, obviously this has been a thing now since we've really gotten into the late 2010s and now, early 2020s now. Scoring has picked up a lot, especially with the players that have come in, and obviously older players who have been in the league for probably like a decade plus. So some 40-point scores. Vitor took the pleasure of looking this up for us that have happened in the last 2 weeks, if I'm not
2
mistaken.
weeks
2 weeks.
alone.
Yeah.
2 weeks alone. It's been Donovan Mitchell, it's been Luka, Clay, DeMar, Zach LaVine. Yes, we've had 2 Bulls players in there,
And DeMar has
still
two.
sucked.
DeMar has 2 40-pointers. Luka
There's
has
multiple guys on
several.
this list that have
Clay has, I think,
Embiid
2
has
now.
symbol.
Clay's at 2
Yeah.
now, I think.
Embiid
Yeah.
and Giannis.
Embiid and Giannis have both had 2. Braun had back-to-back.
Zion has at least 2.
Yeah, it's been
It's been crazy.
other players. Paul George, Darius Garland had one. Siakam had a 50-point game.
Yeah.
SGA had one. RJ Barrett put up 44 against us in a loss. Hallie 43 against the Heat. CJ McCollum scored 42 the other day.
Yeah, his career high.
Yep.
Yeah.
Poole hit that late last week. Like, what's going on? Like, scoring's been inflated in the league over the last few years, and we know that. We've seen the trend. But for that many players to score 40 over a 2-week span, and some of those players having multiple 40-plus point games, what's going on? Is it something in the air, or is it the way the games are being refereed? What's happening?
Go ahead, Mr. Sharpshooter. Let me hear you, Mr. Sharpshooter. That can't score on me. Go ahead. I want to hear it.
Oh my God, you just said that on the podcast. You got to stop that. Boy,
that's
don't embarrass
that's
yourself like
disrespectful.
that.
Just so everybody knows, Daniel's
But-
about 5'6".
5'9.5". All right.
Daniel's about 5'6" on a good day.
With the basketball shoes.
No.
Go ahead,
5'11
go
was
ahead, Isaac.
5'11 with some Air Forces. Go ahead.
We're
Al.
all
Go ahead.
6'3" and over. Daniel's about 5'6".
That's crazy.
That's
Go
why
ahead,
we
bro.
don't do this in person, because he doesn't want to.
How dare you? Go ahead. Al. Let's take
Go
it away.
ahead.
Go ahead.
I ain't gonna lie. This scoring surge to me actually happening because I think one is the referee.
Yep.
I mean, it's a lot of people getting to the free throw line. I'll be honest with that. The new rules with transition still plays into it a little bit, but honestly, I'll be real. I think the biggest things are guys are just hitting a groove,
There you go.
or you either have like your conferences have got deeper and you have to do a lot more for your team to win. in my opinion. So like if I'm in a Giannis conversation, a Luka conversation, DeMar and Zach, you have to do so much for your team, which involves scoring, that yes, you're gonna have a couple multiple 40-point games over the next couple weeks. Or should be even like 4 or 5 in 1 month if they could put it all together
Yeah.
and they
Mhm.
find in their groove. And a lot of guys like Zach had injuries. We had BI that's out, which is influencing Zion scoring. Steph is out. Jordan Poole's getting crazy. But even before that, we was talking about Clay. Before Steph went out, that whole offense was catering to Clay to get him going.
Yeah, and he wasn't getting
Steph,
going.
right now, Steph gone. He like, I don't have no choice but to get us going if we want to stay where we want to be. And he a key piece. And I just think that's what's happening right now.
It's kind of like in baseball when it starts warming up.
Yeah.
Some of these guys start getting loose. Although it's getting
Well,
colder.
it's a little different because the ball flies a lot better.
Yeah.
Warmer air.
But like
compared to
it feels like
colder.
that trend. Like you're now like what 2 months?
I think it's just the
two-ish,
fact
2.5
that
months?
we're in the middle. We're in the
We're entering.
almost in the dead middle of the season. 30 plus games in, pushing 40. So guys are finding their stroke. Teams are getting that chemistry. We're starting to. I think this is going to be a big push to where we see teams start separating. From the top to the bottom, where you start seeing those real playoff races
or
start
vice
to
versa. Teams
start
that
to
have
settle.
teams
are
that
going to
have
fall
taken
away.
off are going to start coming back. And
So
we're
I
gonna see
think that's what you're looking at. I really liked Isaac's point of guys getting healthy. I liked Isaac's point of guys have no choice but to score. You know, some of these teams, some of the names on this list I'm not surprised about, but some of the names on this list I am, because if you look at the teams, you know, they have no choice but to score. So they're really elevating
yeah, I
their
mean,
games.
we expect this from Luka. We
Right,
expect it
Giannis.
here and there from
You know,
guys like I mean
Embiid,
Giannis, Embiid,
Zion,
always. LeBron, given AD's injury, makes a lot of sense.
I mean,
But
you look at some of the names, I'm like, they have no choice.
yeah,
No. That's I mean that's where I'm at too. I think now too, especially we're seeing a more fast-paced game because again of the take foul. I think that is a huge influence on also what is happening right now.
It's so
Because again,
the
if you
game
want
is so up and down.
if you want to give besides the referees, obviously, like I think that's a whole nother subject, especially when it comes to sensitivity. Obviously, you know, teams are giving away 3 points at that point when it comes to technical fouls. But I think we're really seeing the true era of offensive basketball. Especially now in this day and age of where they're trying to change up the rules to make it again more of a 140 to 150 game, 140 to 130, 120, 130, whatever the case may be. That's what we're seeing a lot of. To me, I mean, I don't know how I completely feel about it. The scoring though is fantastic. You cannot take anything away from them, but it's just like it's kind of expected at this point that players are going to go off, especially ones that are good under control, that can, you know, that can act and be able to get those calls when it comes to like a mid-range jump shot or anything like that.
under control. And we got
Well,
Siakam
also-
going for 50, doing spin moves.
Siakam a dog, first of all.
Correct.
Yeah, but you watch him play, man. The control ain't all there. That man will drive to the paint and spin like a
That's
maniac.
he just lanky. He just lanky. That's all. He does.
Yeah.
But I ain't gonna lie. I think everybody should get ready when teams like a Portland, like Jeremy Grant scored 39 last night for them. So it's things like that where I'm like, yeah, your guys, your normal guys who still get those big numbers, but a lot of those guys like a Steph, guys like him and those superstars, they are fighting to get back into the playoff position. So I'm expecting a lot more. I'm expecting Clay to get
That's
another
true.
40 ball, Jordan get another 40 ball. LeBron gonna keep putting 40 ball until the Lakers finally win something with him, and he's be happy, okay? But I just think right now you're gonna see Jeremy Grant, Anthony Simons, and them all start taking off even more because now the role players starting to be in their roles a little bit longer. Laurie Markin is carrying the Jazz, like his role is legit starting to pick up. So it's gonna keep going. You might as well get ready for this surge. It's coming and it's real.
Another point too, I think at this point in time in the NBA, I think this is the most talented up and down the entire NBA rosters that it's ever been in history. I feel like talent is so spread out from top to bottom. I think if you look at the list, there's multiple players from different teams or from the same team that can go off on any team, you know, like an Embiid and a Harden and a Maxey. And then you've got Kyrie and KD, and then you've got, you can go through 3 players on the Celtics. There's Zach and DeMar on the list. You go out west, there's multiple players on both Memphis. There's multiple players on. We talked about Poole, Clay, and
Yeah.
Steph. I mean, you can go down every list, and most of the competitive teams.
What you gotta say,
Phoenix, Devin Booker. Do I need to throw a Phoenix in there?
No, I'm looking at him when you talked about those three Celtics.
You said 3 Celtics. Boy, Marcus Smart averaging 11 points a game. He ain't going.
Hey,
no
he
for
could get a
40.
30 piece though on a really hot
I
night.
mean,
He gets a 30
he
piece.
put up 30 like a month ago in freaking an overtime game.
Throw a 30 piece in there.
30 ain't special. 40 is when we start
Oh
talking
my,
special.
yeah, there. I guess
Oh
the 40 mark.
I'm glad nobody
Oh
caught the
my.
point there.
I caught your
Thanks, Dan.
I caught your point. It's basically the deepest that the league has ever really
Dan.
been. You can even go, honestly, I think a lot of
I'm just
teams,
saying there's 2 to 3 guys on every team's roster that can go
and the
for
thing
40
is
any
too,
night.
and the thing is too now, a lot of players,
When
like
have you ever seen that?
a lot of
Unless you're the
players
Thunder.
yeah, but a lot of players are coming out of the woodwork when
Lou
you
Dort
reach
can hit
that.
10 a game though and get there.
The Thunder are up 31 on the Celtics right now. So, I mean, they might not
But
be getting – they got talent.
But the thing is, when you get to like your 12th man can really go for 20, 30 points on like a hot night. It may not be a 40, but that's how deep we're talking with the league right now, is that you got some people who are on the bench that can go off. And it shows even within the G League itself, these high draft picks. For example, Dalen Terry is, I think, a great example from the Bulls. Doesn't get any playing time, goes down to the Windy City Bulls and is dropping 25, 30 points. Things along that nature. It may not translate to the NBA, but it just shows you what these role players can actually do when given time. Obviously, and the offense is going to be catered to them, but it just shows what type of talent and how deep talent really is in the NBA right now.
It's crazy.
It's crazy. It's just going to keep going up. Again, we're getting into the middle of the season. Going to be talking All-Stars pretty soon as well. It's about a month away in the city of Utah. It'll be interesting.
They tweaked the fan voting.
Yeah, I saw
tweaked
that.
the fan voting a little bit so we don't get a Wiggins problem.
Yeah, so we'll see what happens when it comes to that. We'll also see maybe how they do change up some of the events. What are they going to do with the dunk contest? Are they going to rework it to where the dunk contest is not going to be last anymore and finishes it off with a 3-pointer? Who knows at this point?
Oh, I
hope so.
I'm just saying, 3-point contest should be
Give me the
last.
real dunkers, man. Give me the real dunkers this year, bro.
That too. We'll see what happens with that. But again, a lot of great players in the NBA right now. And it's just gonna keep happening more and more throughout the season. But the next one we want to get into, kind of been a little bit of a drama when it comes to the Atlanta Hawks. So if nobody saw, so initial report from Shams said that Nate McMillan was thinking about stepping down at this point, or close to in the season, in the middle of the season, and retiring because he's just not vibing with the players, and players are not vibing with him right now. Again, for those who do not know, Nate McMillan is more of an old school coach. A lot of people have said and have speculated that the game has passed him up and that he's not able to keep up with the game and the players at this point. Trae Young is not vibing with him, so that leads us to Trae Young. A lot of executives believe that Trae is going to be that next big player. Again, he signed his rookie extension as well. Let's not forget that. So he got paid. But they believe that Trae Young is going to be the next big player to request a trade if they do not make a deep playoff run. So my question to you guys,
if he
I'll
ain't
answer
the
this.
reason they stink, bro.
That's true. My question to you guys is that, do you believe that Trae is a true franchise piece to get you, obviously, to make consistent playoff runs with the right team around him, or is he simply an empty stats type of guy?
I think you said I think you kind of made the point right there with the right team around him.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's the biggest thing, is that we talked about it when it happened. That DeJounte Murray trade made no sense from the jump, right? You're bringing in another ball dominant player. Some of the complaints about Trae is that he's refusing to accept a more off ball role this year. And it's like, you can't bring in a ball dominant point guard who can't shoot that well, although he's shooting pretty well to this year, DeJounte from 3, to pair with your super highly ball dominant point guard who excels in off the dribble shooting and pick and roll, and expected to be this beautiful marriage and everyone to be happy. I think that from the jump was a problem. I think I think Trae is one of the most talented players in the NBA.
Oh,
Talented,
what?
talented.
Hell no.
He is
Hell
very
no.
deficient on the defensive end, and he needs teammates that can hide him on defense. But they
Most
have to
talented
be,
Thank you.
shooters. That's what I'll give you.
Thank you.
bro. He leads the league in assists per game, and he's what, top 7 in scoring or something like that. And
That's all
he's having a
usage.
down year.
That's all usage,
He's
though.
he's not even in the top 5 usage. That's what I'm saying. He's one of the more talented players in the league.
Hell no.
I'd put him. He's not in the Luka tier, and that trade was an L. We're gonna I like that. That
Yeah.
gets revisited every few weeks now.
He's not with Giannis. He ain't with Luka. He ain't with Joel.
Oh, that's all.
Yeah,
That's
I
tier
mean,
yeah,
one.
with Book.
That's tier 1.
10 player.
I'd
20
put him in the
players.
same tier as Book, 100%.
Hell no.
Ooh.
Book before
Oh,
CP was
ooh.
sitting at the bottom of the conference.
No.
I do agree
Not
with that
really.
one. I do agree with that one.
We're talking.
I
I
do.
said talented. I didn't say effective or whatever. I said talented. But again, the team has to be built around him, has to be built for him. And that's where I think that's one of the problems with the Hawks is that they made the DeJounte Murray trade that doesn't make sense. They extended John Collins.
The team was built for him
But-
the previous 3 years, and they were still trash.
They made
They
a
made the
playoff
conference
run.
finals
Yeah.
run one time, but again, that was
Yeah.
injury based again.
Mhm.
I
And
know that's
then
part of the game, but
they extended John Collins, and he had a terrible year after his contract year.
He
Still
wasn't
having a
good the year
terrible
before
year.
like that.
He
Still
was
having.
okay.
he didn't deserve the.
Yeah,
He was all right.
Yeah, I mean it's the NBA. It's, we've talked about it. It's like you either
But-
pay the player or you lose him for nothing, and
Isaac,
it
go
puts you in a
ahead.
bad position.
Yeah.
I need this blasphemy out of my ear.
Y'all don't like someone and just refuse the fact that they're talented.
Whoa! Coming from you?
I'm not. See,
I
for
love
me,
Marcus
right.
Smart. He
Coming
just
from
ain't no
you?
big.
I wasn't about
Yeah,
to
you
say
right.
you just
Yeah,
hate on
yeah.
players.
Oh, I hate on players, but I'll give them the respect they're due in terms of talent. I
Look,
admit Trae has
yeah, he's-
flaws, but
That's the
he's-
problem I have with the whole thing. He has way too many flaws.
Many flaws. He's talented, but
You need a player to plug
Sure.
14 other holes that he has.
just defensively is really the only problem aside from inefficient scoring. That's
He
mostly
needs
this
a
year.
Luka level usage rate to like actually have his team be good, but he can't do what Luka does.
I mean, nobody can.
The issue, I feel like, what's the sad part about it, I think he's talented. I still do feel like he is teetering that borderline of being an empty stats guy, in my opinion. Why?
Yes.
His scoring hides his defense. In order, like C's just said, like my man's Lily has to have like a Luka or Giannis type usage rate or LeBron type usage rate in order for him to get off. And on top of that, he's not mature enough for any situation. Games are getting tougher. Games are getting tougher. And he's not performing to where he needs
He
to
talks so loud when he's scoring 45 and is nowhere
Yes.
to be found when he's putting up 10 to 15.
Mhm.
be. Yeah, you in my opinion, you can't be one of these top 12 to 15 guys in
Not
this
even
league
close.
right now. Like
He's
if you're
close
not
because of
one,
numbers, but
yeah,
Hmm.
but like that's spite.
it's just
because-
empty stats, like you said, though.
Yeah, it's just him filling the stats that night. Like, I just don't think it. I think he could be great somewhere else, but he's still gonna be an empty stats guy. It's not my
Yeah.
fault if he puts some weight on, learns to play some defense a little bit. If Steph Curry can learn how to play defense, he was getting picked up.
That's another question
And
I
he
want to
got picked
ask.
up.
That's
That was
another
the
question I
comp,
want.
and I just
Mhm.
there's no bridge anywhere
Mhm.
between because Steph's mentality is just head and shoulders above Trey's.
And
He's
the
so
thing is-
selfless and compared.
That's the mature-
Imagine if Trey could just step back and be a 2. He'd be the best shooting guard in the fucking league.
That's
Yep.
He
and
won't
the
learn
thing
how
with
to
me is
shoot
that
off
Atlanta
the
is
ball.
talented. Atlanta is talented.
Yeah.
Like they got young talent. Again, the DeJounte Murray trade is now not looking good off the bat. Again, we're still only in their first season, so they're still probably trying to get acclimated. Kevin Huerter trade looks terrible
Looks really
as
bad.
well for them getting Justin Holiday back from Sacramento. I don't know what the hell they were thinking with that.
That was a fleece.
100% because he's literally starting for them and he's performing. And you could have had him on Atlanta and literally the whole team would have just been 3-point shooters.
It would have been
Uh,
perfect.
Also,
It's a
but
perfect
here's my
compliment to
thing,
how they
though.
try to use Trey.
Here's my thing though with that, with a Kevin Herden getting off, right? Now we just said like Trey needs that usage rate. In my opinion, it becomes Trey searching for a shot for a good chunk of that game.
Mhm.
And guys like a Kevin Herter, a Bogey, don't get off as much. Now you play with somebody like a De'Aaron Fox, who would be like 8 assists, 6
Yeah.
rebounds, but like 8 points and take over in the fourth quarter every time. He don't care about getting. That's that maturity level I don't see in Trae. Like
No.
he got to take a step, man.
And that's where I'm going. He is not to anybody who thinks he's a franchise cornerstone, or even a franchise. We can say he's a franchise player. I will say that he is someone who could change the trajectory.
He's someone
of your,
you can definitely build around, but
you
he's
can
not.
build around.
Not
It
going to
has
win
to
you
be
nothing.
no, but it has to be. The thing is, it has to be perfect. Again, we can say that Steph is a great comparison, but I think as far as usage, we can compare a little bit less than what he's doing compared to Luka, obviously. But Luka just affects the game in so much more, even if his shot may not be falling, but he still gets hot. Like he still affects the game based off of his size. Trae Young doesn't do any of that. And that's something that we talked about before the season even started. Was the offense going to change a little bit with DeJounte
Needs to.
coming in and with Trae more playing more off the ball? That has not happened at all. Maybe it's a coaching change that needs to
Somebody doesn't want
happen.
to buy into it.
That's what I'm saying. So maybe it's to where he doesn't want to buy in, or maybe a coaching change does need to happen to somebody that he maybe respects more and has more prestige in the league. Who knows? But I don't believe he's any type of a cornerstone, and I don't believe anybody should try and trade for him at all. I think he's off limits. I don't think you trade for him or anything like that, because you're just going to run into the same situation with your team at this point. It's just going to be the same thing over and over. You're going to give up assets for somebody who's an empty stats guy who can make you extra money from a team perspective because he fills up the seats, but not going to get you to where you actually want to be and not where you expect him to carry you to. That's what I think it's coming
going to
down
depend
to.
on who's buying him, like you said.
Yeah.
If it's just somebody trying to make money and trying to be relevant again, maybe. But I don't think a contender, unless he's willing to actually be a spot up shooter.
He buys in.
And can buy in and maybe play a little bit of defense.
What is the reason of making him a spot-up shooter when he's better at shooting off the dribble than he is in a catch-and-shoot situation?
Because if you can't pair him with nobody.
Because that's shooting off the.
He's not good enough to do it on his own, and you can't. But then you can't pair him with nobody.
I think you can pair him with people if you can find. You just can't pair him with another guard. He has to be paired with guys who are.
But there's only 3 or 4 dominant bigs in the league.
That's not to say wings or bigs. It just can't be guys who need the ball in their hands to affect the game as much. That's the reality.
Few of them.
Exactly. That's going to be the problem.
But I'm just saying, for him to play with somebody like a DeJounte Murray and not buy into being something, the reason why everybody wants the ball out of his hands so much so he could take the pressure off of him. Let him run off the game. Make the game a lot more simpler for yourself than you doing it like 35 different moves. Like a lot of our most efficient scorers, we're not doing all this dribbling no more. Like KD getting to the point.
KD, yeah, that's what I was gonna say. My example.
KD getting to the point. Book gets to the point. He understands what he wants this man when he wants to do it. But like with a Trae, it's like I gotta do this, I gotta dance here, I gotta dance that. All right, give it to Murray. Let Murray run it. Let's bring you off the screens. Like I don't want him to be like a strictly spot up shooter because I feel like he got one of the best floaters in the game. But like he can't
be able
get
to
to
change
it.
it. Gotta change it.
Yeah, he can't get to it if all his game is the ball has to be in my hands. Like, yes, come off the spot up. Be a spot up shooter. Get threes a different way than off the dribble.
Well, I think
don't need it all the time.
I think that playoff run, especially the series in New York, is the worst thing that happened to them and to him.
That's a good point.
Because
that's a good point.
Some players taste the playoffs and they get hungry. I think Trae, especially being in the Garden and having the spotlight on him and playing the way he did in that series,
made his head big.
Yeah, exactly. I think it blew up his ego. And
it's just so dumb because he shot like absolute shit the next series.
The Heat series, yeah. He
so like
shot
at what point do you not get humbled by that?
When
you know what I'm saying? You're literally chucking up 35 footers, 20 of them a game.
Yeah.
Like
I don't understand how that doesn't humble you. They literally
made fun of
eliminated
Jason
you.
Tatum because of his finals performance, and now we got Jason Tatum in an MVP conversation this year. Like
there's a difference.
That's a whole big step he just took. He could have took the opposite route. He could have been took the opposite route when he dunked on Bron.
And and it's a good comparison too, though. Like we talked about Trae not buying in defensively. Jason Tatum, he had the length. But that's what I'm saying is that Jason Tatum had the length coming out. We knew what type of defensive player he could be as long as he put both his offensive game and his defensive mentality together. We knew what he could be in if he bought in. Last year was the first year we really saw him buy in. And
Yeah.
along with Jaylen Brown, and that's really a great defensive team. You saw that now the new trajectory that his career is on, even still at a young age. With Trae Young, it's just going to be the same thing
It really,
over
I
and
guess
over
it
and
really
over.
is frustrating because you do like Vitor said, you see the talent,
Mhm.
and it's so
Yeah.
frustrating because it's like, bro, just literally like one little mental tweak, and you could get right back to dominating in the
But I
Garden
just
again.
I
You know
just
what I'm
don't
saying?
think though I don't think he ever succeeds, to be honest. I don't think he ever gets to where he wants to
He
be.
reminds me
I
like
think-
a Kyler Murray. He just wants the money. He just
Hmm?
wants a little
That's
bit of
a-
that star that's being at stardom.
I was gonna call my man Barkley, boy. He gonna be a talented guy to never win a ring.
Hey,
I think
But-
Yeah, but Barkley
is
was at
different.
least
Yeah.
mentally there.
come on.
Competitive.
Barkley wanted to win. Yeah, he was competitive and all.
No, that's my sense.
I don't think Trae
what's
wants to
gonna be
win like
happening?
that.
That's one thing. I feel like he want to win. He's just going about it the wrong way.
Yeah.
He wants
Okay.
to win. He doesn't want to be a part of
No, that's
winning.
not how
He
that
wants
works.
to win.
That's never
Yeah.
ever worked.
Yeah. That's a great point. I like that point as well that you made, that Knicks series probably wasn't the best thing for him and how it got done, because he literally was the show and trying to obviously push that, into the coming seasons and things of that nature. So so we talked about that, and we all agree that he is someone who can change your franchise, but not the type of change that you expected and to make your team basically relevant and into contender status. So the next thing we want to get into before we finish out the episode for the NBA here. So C wanted to bring this up. We're going to talk specifically about the Cavaliers. So Cleveland Cavaliers, the team the team is pieced well together when everybody is healthy. They all gel when they are healthy. So we're going to talk about the Cavaliers outlook here. Are they for real? And if so, if you spot anything and the team that they may need, what type of player do they need? Obviously, as we get close to the trade deadline and to the buyout deadline as well, in the coming season so far. So, C, you brought it up. You brought the subject up to us. What you think?
Yeah, me and Vitor were talking about it at the
Mhm.
gym a couple days ago. He was thinking they needed to make a move. I don't know. I just feel like they're so polished. I wanted to give a shout out to Isaac. I'm pretty sure he was the only one that had them in our preseason as the highest seed. I
Yeah.
think he had him 4, maybe 5.
Yeah, the rest of us had.
Yeah.
I had him
play-in.
out. I think me and you had him out. I think Danny had him at 6, maybe.
Yeah.
I think we
But
had them as
Isaac had
play-in
him, I think, as
teams.
high as 4. But man, they just look really good. I think a lot of people were questioning how D Mitch was going to play coming out of his last season to 2 seasons in Utah, and then pairing him with another guard with Darius Garland. Kind of curious how that would work
Yeah,
out.
two small guards, too.
Hasn't worked. It hasn't like been any negative thing at all. Like
Yeah.
Darius Garland has been
Well,
able to take a step back and have his scoring go down, but yet have his assist numbers go up. Donovan Mitchell looks like he wants to play basketball, which is what another point that Isaac made,
Mhm.
that he didn't want to play in Utah. It's
Yeah.
not that he wasn't
Well,
a good
he looks
player.
solid
He
defensively.
looks
this
like he
year.
wants to play. He looks like he's
Yes.
putting forth effort. He looks like he is back to where he was at in the bubble when he was trading blows with Jamal Murray and
Yeah.
trying to get to an actual chip. I think the two big men, when both healthy, are something that no team in the league really has.
I would say from at least
Maybe
a
the Wizards,
consistent,
but like
at least like a
as
consistency
dominant as both
standpoint.
of them
Yeah.
are, what one lacks, the other one makes up for.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have for really solid role players that can come off the bench and make an impact. You have veterans between Kevin Love, Robin Lopez,
Osman.
Ricky Rubio, Chetty Osman. Like the
Mhm.
team's built so good. I wouldn't
Rubio
touch a
hasn't even
freaking
played
thing,
this
man.
year.
Yeah,
really wouldn't
I
touch a
thought of
thing.
that. Ricky
No,
hasn't
he hasn't
touched the
played at all.
ball yet because of his ACL. He hasn't touched it yet. I'm gonna be very intrigued when he is healthy,
Oh,
because
bro,
then
when he's running that second unit,
they'll be
oh my
solidified
God.
at the
They're deeper.
backup. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. They'll be solidified at the backup, like for sure, because JP
Because you
Bickerstaff
can rest Garland, still play Mitchell, rest Mitchell, play 2 PGs. They're gonna
and
be
Ricky and Donovan, for anybody who did not know, they played before together. So
Yes.
they both had success,
In
and
Utah.
Ricky Rubio had one of his best years in Utah when playing with D Mitch.
Yeah, I think
yeah.
they're top to bottom up there with my how I feel about the Nets. I think they have a really good roster right now. But I think they're up there, man. It's one of the best rosters built right now. I really
think you
wouldn't touch a
have to.
thing.
I think
My
you
biggest
have to.
concern about them is their half court offense when the game slows down. I know you talked about their
I
defense
got
when
the
the
guy
game
right
slows
there.
down.
You just saw it
Well, yeah.
yesterday.
And it's like if it's gonna take that every
It's
game,
not gonna take
something like
7.
that, him or Garland stepping up and going for
Mhm.
30 to 40.
I see what you mean. Yeah.
It's because the point that I brought up as I was talking about was Mobley played so well when Jarrett Allen was out. And I think I brought it up on the podcast. Was it last week or something like that?
Yeah, it might have been last week or 2 weeks ago.
That he played so well when he was the sole bit when he was a lone big.
Mhm.
And like maybe that they could look at maximizing his potential and his talent and moving Allen and maybe getting a piece, somebody like, in terms of salary, somebody that matches as like a Kuz.
Yeah, maybe like a
that can
wing.
slot in as more of like a
That
wing.
makes them worse.
That's their
The
weakest
problem, the
spot.
way that
Yeah.
the only rebuttal I
agree.
had
Yeah.
against that was in the regular season, yeah, that might work because it's so up and down. There's no
Mhm.
defense being played. But
Mhm.
in come postseason, you're gonna need a Jarrett Allen to clog the paint and to play defense and to have somebody's back. I think Mobley looks good in the regular season with no Jarrett Allen because it's just him down low on the block, being able to score 20 plus, get all the rebounds and pick up the stats, but he doesn't have the experience that a Jarrett Allen does.
And I think a great point. I was listening. I heard Jalen Rose talk about this. As far as obviously like Luka's been on a tear, and somebody had asked him like, why don't? It was when he struggled. I believe it might have been. It was like a previous game against. I want to say it wasn't the Knicks. Whatever, some other previous team. Like they were literally trying to double him on mostly every play, so he didn't have a great game. And then Jalen Rose was asked, well, why don't more teams do this? And he literally said that, and it points to this question that we talked about with trying to trade for a wing for the Cavs, is that teams will let the superstars get off in the playoffs, but once the playoffs come, it's a whole new different ball game. And that's where I agree with UC
It's
is
a
that
legit, it's a legit different game.
yeah,
It is an entirely different game.
You need that defense to step up at certain points. And I think that if you do take Jarrett Allen off of the
It
Cavaliers,
makes them worse.
you leave Mobley to be more susceptible, probably to those fouls, to where he's not effective at that point in the game or in a series or whatever that case may be. So yeah, I'm definitely on your guys' side for that. What you got for me, in regards to it?
I think this team dangerous, man. To be honest,
Dude, they
with
look
you.
fucking insane.
Yeah.
They number one already. They number one in field goals made against them already. They number 5 in blocks, really off the rip. So like you moving to Jarrett Allen and you getting closer to those deeper games in the playoffs or those tight knit games. I'll need a Jarrett Allen on the floor. And if guess what? If my man Evan Mobley not getting it done in the playoffs, I know somebody's gonna come through in the playoffs, which is Kevin Love.
Kevin Love.
But when you add that on the floor, which is the X factor component, because he shows up very rarely for them, but it feels like it shows up when he needs to be there for them.
The biggest
like
biggest times.
They know, they got no energy. Here come Kevin Love, 3 straight threes. When they need somebody that gets a rebound, here he come in the game, gets a rebound. He's there. That's their leader. But then you got somebody who can close out the game in Donovan Mitchell. You got somebody who closed the game out in Darius Garland. Like those two guys now, I just say, yeah, you can combat these wings like a KD and a Kyrie and that Brooklyn Nets a little bit because you have the length to guard a KD. Okay, unlike other teams, you have a length to guard a Jaylen Brown or Jason Tatum, but don't nobody have a Jarrett Allen or Evan Mobley or none of those guys inside to protect their rim like that. Like, yeah, Robert Williams is decent, but he ain't Jarrett Allen.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I think if you take Jarrett Allen out of the mix come playoff time and you got to face Giannis and you got to face Joel and you got to face Bam Adebayo's looking dangerous this year. Those are guys that'll just eat Evan Mobley alive for a few minutes, get him 3-4 fouls, and then you've got Kevin Love and other bigs, but not Jarrett Allen's type of defensive ability.
Yeah, and another thing that also sticks out to me with this Cavs team is they second half defense. They are number 2 in third quarter points and fourth quarter points. Like when things get tight for them, they know how to sit down and lock it up.
And we're not even talking about Karis LeVert, who's also one of their better defenders.
Yeah, we're not even talking about that one. And he showed you he can hoop in the playoffs too.
I was about to say he can talk about another third scorer when the game's on the line.
He literally helped the Brooklyn team
too.
Yeah, literally helps a Brooklyn team almost win a series. And then you think about like you got a Ricky Rubio coming back to run that second unit.
And Ricky Rubio's improved defensively as well.
Karis LeVert, Ricky Rubio, and Kevin Love on the court while you're resting Mobley and you're resting
Chetty as
Garland and you're resting
Isaac Okoro
to put the clamps on.
And then
it's a whole nother starting team for like the Kings.
Yeah, and then for your point, V, You can still
For
run
the
Kevin Love and
Rockets.
put Mobley at the 5 if I'm not getting what I
Yeah.
need out of Jared Allen. So
Yeah.
that team's loaded.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
literally so much fluidity.
My biggest fear with them is the wing play.
Yeah, yeah.
Okoro's a black hole on offense, and I think
right, but I feel
in
like
the
you
playoffs
have so
that
many
might
other
be
guys to
yeah.
fix gaps.
And the
You know what
play,
I'm saying?
And I mean I think that's where Bickerstaff, and I think that he's been showing that
There are
he's
so
good at
many guys
adjusting on the
there's, like,
fly
for every
and a
every
playoff
fault that a
series.
player has on that roster. I feel like there's 3-4 guys
that make up
that
for
make
it. Yeah.
up for that
Yeah.
one fault.
I was just about to say, we just watched the Donovan Mitchell carry about 2 or 3 guys on that offensive side,
Right.
like in Utah. And then you got a Darius Garland who can put it together. Just understand your stars will show. And if you telling me I can make
the half court
and if I
postseason?
can make the role simpler for like an Isaac Okoro, like Isaac, I want you to walk on the floor. Don't worry about no shooting. Donovan got us on offense. Garland got us on. I just need you to try to slow down KD for me. You might not slow him down, but hey, let's cut him into that 50,
Just
40.
make it hard.
Just get him
Make
angry.
it hard on him. Yeah. Get him
That
angry. Get
team-
him the skin a little bit.
And that's one of the few teams, like obviously there's multiple around the league, but this is one of the few teams that you can legit go 10 deep, even into the playoffs as well. Like
Yeah.
obviously the playoffs, the rotation gets shorter, but I think with this team, they'll still be able to throw 10 and even 11 players at you, depending on the matchup that they got.
Yep.
It's crazy though. But one person that I'm happy for though is JB Bickerstaff as well. He hasn't had a great hand at the coaching positions, and when he's come in, it hasn't been the right thing for him. But again, we've talked about it time and time again, allowing the coaches to actually make a culture so that way you can see it actually come to fluidity. So this seems crazy though. I don't see, and I think now that we look back at the trade, we can talk about Minnesota obviously lost the trade. Minnesota lost the trade. I think Cleveland won this trade by a landslide. With how he's performing.
I think it's a win-win trade.
Yeah.
I think where Utah was going,
at least
like,
for immediate success though, and where he's showing
I
to
think
be right now.
I think both teams
it's crazy.
have gotten better from it. So I think that's one of those good ones.
I was gonna propose though.
Who got better? Not Minnesota.
No, we're talking about the Utah
Cleveland.
Yeah,
was a win-win.
Okay.
No,
I was
Minnesota
just curious,
trade
what do you guys think was the Mitchell trade the best trade of the offseason?
Yes.
I'm trying to think if I'm not forgetting anything. I don't want to.
I guess the best best acquisition of the offseason.
I would say so. For a player that I think it was
the one thing they were missing.
I think he's really exceeded their expectations as far as impact. We all knew the type of player that he was, even when we talked about it when the rumor mill was going. We all knew that, okay, he's going to be an offensive scorer. Does he buy in? Does he turn a leaf a little bit defensively? Right. Especially if he went to Miami. Does he buy into that? I think that he has exceeded the Cleveland Cavaliers' expectations of what they expected from him. They knew he was going to score, but I don't think that they expected him to be this effective, especially with Garland on the floor.
I think to Isaac's point again, he was just he's rejuvenated. Yeah. He's hungry again. Yep. He feels the chance to win a chip again and make a deep run that he hasn't had in a couple years. And it really kind of drained him. You know, I think Utah is really draining some of his life away, and he just has all that back now.
Yeah, I agree.
And I want to bring something up. We didn't put this down. And I've been thinking about it because it kind of affects my fantasy team, and that's why I've been thinking about it. But you brought up Jamal Murray, and I wanted to ask because they've been resting him on every back-to-back. Kawhi's been resting every back-to-back. A couple other guys who have come back from injury.
The Clippers are smart with that.
Well, the couple guys who have come back from injury. Zach earlier in the season was missing the back-to-backs. Now he's playing all of them. Do you guys think that's smart, or do you think there's like a limit on how much resting a player should do? Because Jamal can't seem to get in a rhythm. As he starts, he'll put a couple good games together. He had a stretch of like 3 games where he was averaging like 25.3 and like
he had picked it
8.6 assists, and then he rests, come back, 2 14-pointers again with another day off in between those, because he's rest. So like it seems like it's throwing off his rhythm. Kawhi was kind of doing the same thing. He would start picking up, miss a game, and then have to like kind of restart and reload. And then they would have a stretch with like, oh, they don't have another back-to-back for 2 weeks. And then he'd start picking up some more rhythm. And I'm like, I'm watching this, especially Jamal. Jamal's the one that really catches my attention because he really seems like he was starting to get going. He had 3 straight games of 25 or more. I think he had 8 or more assists in 4 straight games.
Mhm.
And then they rested him on a back-to-back. He comes back 14 points, rest him on another back-to-back 14 points. Like, he just can't seem to get into a true rhythm. And so, like, obviously the Nuggets want to be careful with him, but how long and how deep into the season do you want to continue being careful rather than let this guy get into rhythm and find himself, playing
we got you.
regularly and
Yeah, but
consistent?
you don't. I just think when you think about the need, you can't come back too fast. Okay, so
Well, yeah. Well, so like with Jamal,
that's the one
he
thing,
took
but,
over a
like,
year off. Like, it's not like
yeah,
he rushed him back. Like,
yeah, but like you all got to understand, like,
It
yeah, he
takes
took a
2
year
years to
off.
fully
It's
recover from an ACL.
to fully recover, and just
Structurally
because
and
he took a
everything.
year, and he ain't played like competitively for like a year and a half, y'all.
Mhm.
Same thing. I just think, yes, he's gonna have weeks. He's gonna have weeks where he looks like he's back. He's gonna have weeks where he's regressed. As his body starts getting better and better, and I'll be honest, I think it's gonna happen right after the All-Star game, like All-Star weekend. That's when you see Jamal Murray really return for you. Like right now, I think this is just all right. They number one in the West right now. Don't got really, or number two, I think right now,
Yeah.
one or
Yeah.
two.
I
But
think they're tied.
but
They just lost
with
their
like the
first
top,
game yesterday.
yeah,
for
but like
one
you
in a
just gotta
while.
look at it. He's still playing hard, but you have to give him the breaks on the back-to-backs right now because you just
Yeah.
he played a year and a half. He ain't trying to do anything different. Yes, there's a limit. I think there's a limit when it's like, just rest, boy. But like, if it's nobody managing the energy like an injury or anything like that. But I think with guys like Kawhi that we ain't seen in like 2 years, a year and a half, these guys need this. Like,
Yep.
the bodies are not acclimated like it once was to be running up and down for a whole 82 game season,
But
which is
would you-
beautiful because it's an 82 game season.
Yeah. Would you argue, do you think every back-to-back is the right way to do it? Or do you think this should be more of like a touch and go? Like, all right, miss
You
the
have
first, over the first 2 months, miss every back-to-back, and then start
Well,
seeing how a guy can, because like, you're going to
No.
need your guy to be able to play a back-to-back
matter.
at some point.
Yeah,
No, you don't.
yeah, but you got to see.
They don't
but
play
you
back to
have-
backs in the playoffs.
Yeah.
That's
but
what's the goal of a championship of a team?
they're not,
Yeah.
Is to win a championship.
yeah, and you're not going to get
But,
into
no,
a
I
championship
see
if your
his
best,
point,
if your
though.
second best player in rhythm. If he's going into the
There is no
playoffs,
back to backs in the playoffs.
that don't
But
matter.
These
you
guys
have
are
to-
they're
It's all
playing
about them. They
safe.
need to play consistent games over and over.
I disagree.
They get enough rest.
real-
Playing one back to back and then missing another, I think is
The
more
real
beneficial to
question-
a player's conditioning than missing
Go
every
ahead,
back
Isaac.
to back is.
The real question is how is he feeling on the risk of a back-to-back? We literally watched Zach LaVine sit out games because his knee had swelled up the next day
Mhm.
off of trying to go into a back-to-back. Like, yeah, he might say, yeah, I'm great in the media, and just so everybody get out his face.
Mhm.
But you have to see. So once his body is, like I was saying, once his body is acclimated, yes, you can start putting some back-to-back games in there. But at some point, he's still gonna have to
You
get a
don't need
rest.
to. You don't need to.
Yeah, you don't. Like, I just like his rhythm
It's
to
a
me is
long.
not
It's
that
a
bad.
it's a long season. These are two teams that are going to be there contending for Eastern Conference or Western
Yeah.
Conference titles.
He ha-
These are two
he has a
guys that
chance.
when the game slows down come playoffs, they're going to need to be there. They don't need to play. They're not regular season players. These are half court guys that can dominate come postseason. So why play them in back-to-back games in multiple games? Why play them so many minutes when they're not? You can rest them and make sure they're healthy for a deep postseason run. That means a hell of a lot more than trying to
Yeah,
win
that's
two
what I'm saying,
back-to-backs
like,
in a
you-
row. I think that means a lot more to have them healthy to play a 7-game series against Memphis or Golden
Mhm.
State. Means a
Mhm.
lot more
Yep.
than playing some back-to-back. That's my opinion. I
Yeah,
think
that-
It's not
playoffs are a
about
lot.
playing the back to back. It's about the rhythm. It's the fact that like
No, I
the
totally
thing
get
is-
the rhythm.
100%.
So
You're
for
right.
like
a lot of
like,
these guys,
but
like,
like,
Their rhythm is play, sit, play, sit, play.
Kawhi to me less so because he's
Kawhi, I
never been
think
a rhythm.
100%.
He's never been a rhythm.
Kawhi, I think 100% should not play a certain amount.
No.
He should he should play, sit, play, sit. He's too old.
Yeah.
This up and down bullshit of the regular season has nothing to do with his game at all. Ever, never has.
Well,
And
that's why-
he's even
that's-
said that in a post game. I think
He
I believe
doesn't
it was
give a
post
fuck.
game.
Just
It was
he
the
doesn't care if
post-game
he's a
interview.
1 or an 8 seed. Just get him to
No.
the
It
playoffs,
was
and
the-
then he's gonna fucking take over.
It
for
was
you.
the post game interview that he's like, I don't even want to be here. Like,
No, he
I'm just,
doesn't give a fuck.
I'm literally just waiting for the playoffs.
Dude, if they could tell Kawhi, don't play another regular season game
he wouldn't.
We're just gonna get you to the playoffs. He doesn't give a fuck.
That's too
No.
bad Paul George's hamstring gave out. 'cause
Hey,
They don't
now
give
they
a
need
fuck
him.
about that. They'll
But
do the same with
to-
Paul George.
But
Well,
even
he-
to like,
He's another guy. They're getting into their 30s.
Even
Kawhi's
to
already
like,
31, 32.
what do you call it?
This up
Even
and
to
down
like,
shit is too much for them.
even to like Isaac's point, along where at least to where I believe he may have been going is that, and what I think is important to outline with the Nuggets. One, the Nuggets are deep. Two, you got Jokic. That's your main guy. Jamal isn't their main guy. When we talk about Kawhi and Paul George, those are the two guys that run the LA Clippers. That's
And they win
their
without
catalyst.
him.
Yes, exactly. And three, Jamal, I believe, well, at least to answer your initial question, I believe that they're going to wait probably up until maybe about game 60, game 70 or so to get him ramped up for the playoffs.
Yeah.
And get him in those back-to-backs to get his legs fully underneath him to make sure he is in rhythm. But I just think that since Jamal isn't the number one option, he can teeter between a number 2 and number 3 option on the Denver Nuggets, in my opinion, as long as Michael Porter Jr. is healthy. But they don't need him to be the second option to Jokic.
I disagree.
Like
I think if they want to win a playoff series, they need Jamal to be on and firing because, as we've seen, Jokic can't win a playoff series on his own.
Again, though, come
Right, but
playoffs, it's a whole nother game.
It's a whole nother game, but also too, I'm not going to look. I don't need Jamal Murray from the bubble. Okay, right now, in my opinion, you do not. I'll be real. I don't think this is not. Yes, the Nuggets are number one. This is, to my opinion, this is not their year. The real year is going to be next year because right now, everybody who's took a year off, 2 years off, came back from ACL, has not played well. Okay, Clay ain't did it. Kawhi starting to get it, but like outside of that, who's
Just wait
showing
and see
you
why.
You feel me? That's what I'm saying. But even with Jamal Murray, he's in a great spot because of who his main guy is. And I'm not trying to be funny. The role players they had in years past is a lot better. Aaron Gordon has improved.
Yeah.
Bruce Brown is an X factor who was dogging in the playoffs last year for Brooklyn. Like nobody knew that. Like he understands the game, and I just think when you got Jokic on the floor, anything is possible with that team. Michael Porter Jr. still needs to stay healthy to keep them in the running. But if I can still get the 14 points from Jamal Murray, I will take that any night.
And at least to an effective 14. Like I think as long as he doesn't go out of his way and it's not like, a 5 for 20 type of game with 14 and 4 or something like that. As long as it's a 14, maybe like 6 to 13, 6 to 14 shooting doesn't go out of his way to force all of that, I think they'll still be fine, even if he hasn't played back-to-backs.
I'm pretty sure you were pretty much spot on from his stat line from the other night. Yeah, 6 to 12 for 14 points and 4 assists. Look at you.
Hey, that's my type of game right there. You know what I mean? I'm effective, with what I do in my shot making.
Yeah, but then even there, you still got to account that's still efficient. But even when he's efficient, just think about it. Build on that 14. Build on another 50 cent.
And the thing is, teams are still paying him the respect. Teams are still paying him the respect because they know the type of player that he is as well.
And in terms of getting hot, he's one of those guys that, like, if you let him see a couple shots go in, you might be done for the night. Like
exactly. Like, do I think the Nuggets have a great chance this year? But if they can keep this whole team together at least for one more year, I think next year will be even better for them because Jamal is fully prepared and it's not a recovery summer. It's more so on a working on my game summer going into next season. Yeah. So that's what I think. But that was a good question though to finish up on for us. So do we got anything else, boys, before we finish out for the week here? Start out the new year.
Bulls suck.
Yeah.
Tony Brothers needs to be in jail.
And also breaking news as well.
Double nickel.
Yeah. Giannis dropped 55 career high as well against Washington. So add another one to the list for 40 plus.
Giannis times 3 on that list now.
Yeah. But that finishes it out for us for our NBA segment of episode number 31. Again, check out our new logo. Check out all of our videos on our socials. Again, posting almost every single day now, bringing you guys the best content that we're able to provide to you guys. It's going to be a huge year. Thank you guys for all the support. Again, have a great start to your new year. Bring all that positive vibes, positive energy. We'll see you guys next week with episode number 32.
Hey, every day the sun won't shine, but this is why I love tomorrow.
Yeah, I like that. Okay. Have a great rest of the week.
Y'all tweaking, boy. That's Glorilla. You tweak.
All right,
so
John.
so
We
off
gotta.
base.
He just brought up Glorilla there. We gotta end on that one.
That
Though.
was
Have
the
a great rest
quote.
of the week. Nah, man, get out of here with all that. Have a great rest of the week, y'all. We'll see y'all next week for episode number 32. Bye bye.